Let's rise in body or spirit and sing together, Rise. I will rise with all my daughters. I will rise against my foes. I will rise with all. I will carry all their woes. I will rise to fight for freedom. I will rise though faced with fear. I will rise against all hatred. All my eyes. Oh, stand with me. Rise up hand in hand. Oh, stand with me. We will rise to spread love across this bitter land. I will rise for religious freedom, a rich diversity. I will rise for all the weary, for each lonely refugee. I will rise for women who deserve equal pay. I will work for all our children who await a better day. Oh, stand with me. Rise up hand in hand. Oh, stand with me. We will rise to spread love across this bitter land. Oh, stand with me. Rise up hand in hand. Oh, stand with me. We will rise to spread love across this bitter land. I will rise.
You may be seated. Welcome to Second Unitarian Church. I am Micah Lappinkar, a member of the Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are he, him. Today, we are in person at the Admiral at the Lake, the 2U Sanctuary, and continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. We're glad you are here, whichever way you are attending. If you are in the sanctuary and would benefit from noise-canceling headphones, we have one pair for adults and one for children. Please see our tech team in the back. As we navigate varying needs for health and wellness, particularly related to COVID, we welcome you to wear a mask. We have masks available at the table as you enter the building. We especially welcome newcomers and visitors this morning. Finding a new community and new connections can be challenging. Please know that we're excited to have you and look forward to getting to know you. Coffee and snacks are available in the Palmer Room just outside of the sanctuary. You can also go upstairs to the loft for more space, and an elevator is available. Please remember to bring plates and cups down to the kitchen. One way to get to know new people and see old friends is to help with cleanup in the kitchen following coffee hour. We can always use more hands. Friends, we want to remind everyone that the sounds of children are always welcome during our service. Our worship today is led by Reverend Michael Brown, former member of 2U, along with Jim Simonis as worship associate. Music is provided by the music department. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, religious education, music, and technical production. All right, and now I need to pull up my secret message. Or my special announcement. So, Second Unitarians, Board of Trustees, and Interim Minister Search Committee are thrilled to announce that Reverend Allison Farnham will be joining us as our full-time contract minister As our full-time contract minister from December 1st, 2026, so it's later this year, to June 30th, 2028. Reverend Allison was most recently with 2U during Reverend Jason's sabbatical last year and has a long history with our congregation. We are happy to welcome her back and look forward to working with her during this transitional time for our congregation. Reverend Allison's return also comes with the option to explore a settled ministry. Reverend Allison and Board Chair Courtney M. Anderson will share more about this in our August 1st edition of The Anvil. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact the board at bot@secondunitarian.org. As we greet our neighbor, let us do so by snapping our fingers. This is the time to take a moment and greet your neighbor.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. I will now do the call to worship. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but by the values we share and where we keep our love at the center. Whether you are joining us for the first time or for the 1000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, how much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here. I invite you now, when you feel ready, to take a breath in and out. Please rise in body and spirit and joining me in singing our congregation hymn, Spirit of Life. Compassion. words of covenant. Please remain risen and join me in reciting our covenant. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion. Now I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. I don't invite you.
You invite me.
I invite our minister.
Good morning. In just a moment, Ray here in the sanctuary and Harris at the Admiral will light our chalices, the symbol of our faith. We light our chalices this morning with these words by Summer Abayati. In betwixt and between, we move in liminal spaces that show shades of what can become, what can be. We light this chalice as a symbol of courage to move into this time of this and that and not this and not that with patience and faith and love and hope that this time will pass, like the sun that moves in between rising and setting, reminding us that beauty resounds in betwixt and in between. And now I believe we have a time for all ages.
Normally, I would invite people to come up at this point, but I have to use this microphone. So it might be better if everyone just stays in their seat, and the whole room is up here with me this morning. All right. So the topic of this morning's service is working for social justice, which is a huge topic. So right now, we're just going to talk about 3 pieces of this big subject. And we're going to start with, I'm going to start with toothbrushing. How often do we brush our teeth? Okay, so what if I do a really, really good job tonight brushing my teeth? A really good job. Can't I skip a week? Why not? Because our teeth will get unhealthy, right? So we have to do it every single day. All right, put teeth brushing aside, and we're going to move on to litter. Now, you may not have picked up litter on your way to church this morning, and you may not pick up litter on your way from church, but this morning, you're going to pick up litter in church. And I brought litter with me. Jim and his assistant, hold on. Okay. All right, you people on the aisle are going to be so glad you sat there. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to see how fast we can get the litter picked up and put in this box. Are you ready? Go. All right, go, go, go. Hey. All right. Is this the last bit? You guys are great. That was really fast. You're really good. All right, a couple questions. Was it better to do it in a group, or would it have been better one person by themselves? Was it faster and more effective in a group? Yes. And most important, was it more fun? Yes. All right, toothbrushing, litter, last thing. Taking turns. We take turns every Sunday after service when we line up at the food table, right? Yes? In the Palmer room or upstairs, wherever it is. Everybody lines up to have a turn. Would it work if only one person said, I'm going to take turns, and nobody else did? Would that work? Would it work if we said, we'll take turns this week, and that takes care of the whole month? Everybody has to do it, and we have to do it over and over again. And here's the last most important question. Why do we take turns? It's fair. Everybody gets a chance. It's better for everyone when we take turns. So we talked about keeping at it. We talked about working in a group. And we talked about making everything fair and better for everybody. And those are three important parts of working for social justice. All right, that's it.
Each year, we all make a commitment, a pledge, to support the ministry of this church. In addition to this contribution, every Sunday we take a collection so that we can share those doing justice beyond our church community. So to make a contribution, you can send a text to the number on the screen if you have a screen, which will be up when the music begins, or it can be found in your virtual order of service. And if you're here in the sanctuary, we'll follow an age-old tradition and pass a collection plate. You are welcome to add your change or cash or checks. For the month of July, we're sharing our plate with the Unitarian Universalist Advocacy Network of Illinois, which supports UUs across Illinois in their advocacy work. And today, we'll hear a social justice moment from Alicia Obando.
Good morning. Welcome to the Social Justice Minute, which occurs during the service about twice a month, so we can share with you any upcoming opportunities for involvement. Our migrant assistance team has started the planning for our October 3rd event entitled Viva la Cultura, a celebration of Latin heritage. The evening will be full of music, dancing, and food from several Latin American cultures. The event will be held here in the sanctuary and the Palmer Room and will be open to the congregation as well as the community at large. We hope you will save the date and join us as I keep losing my spot. And join us as we learn about and celebrate what our Latin American neighbors are contributing to our communities. And please let me know if you'd like to join the group of volunteers that are organizing this event. Our Chicago Community Jail Support Project continues with the next volunteer night scheduled for tomorrow. Eli Sander is looking for a co-leader to assist with this ongoing project. Our Night Ministry Project will meet next on Sunday, August 2nd, after the service to make sack lunches. Please see Liesel or Lauren, the project co-leaders, for more information. And lastly, our Social Justice Committee still has a few open spots for committee members this new church year. We meet on Zoom once a month and help to coordinate 2U's social justice activities. To find out more about any of these projects and how to get involved, you can check out the Social Justice Corner in the Palmer Room during coffee hour and attend our Social Justice Involvement Fair on Sunday, August 16th, right after the service. Thanks.
Okay, now I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. This church is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
As we begin a moment of prayer and meditation this morning, I want to lift up to us the loss of a longtime person, part of this congregation. Meredith McGee Stuckey. The other way around, my wife says. Meredith Stuckey McGee. Meredith grew up in this church. She was part of this family. She ran around in that room. She played down in the RE areas. She went to potlucks. She became older and became an active teenager in this church, and came here over the years countless times, even when she had moved away. So this is someone to remember. This is someone to remember with fondness and with appreciation. And we know that we cannot sum up her life, but we can honor her life. And I want to send out greetings to her family, particularly Sue Stuckey, who was also a long time member of this church, and Lizzie Kepler, Meredith's sister, who did all those same running around things. And so let's just take one moment of silence to honor this life and acknowledge this wonderful family. Thank you. I want to offer a pastoral meditation that was written by a person whose name is not on this piece of paper. I'm sorry about that. Let me share the words with you, and then I would invite us to take a moment of silence together. Creator of all, as believers in justice, woven into a single garment of life, making us one with the human family. Let us rejoice for those who safely pass through the shades of night toward the daylight of freedom. Spirit of all possibilities, may we be blessed with true freedom, free of all oppressions. Spirit of hope, with grateful hearts, we lift our voices in shared solidarity, holding each other safe in the fire of justice and the light of love. Amen. Blessed be. Let's take a moment of silence together. Amen, blessed be. I want to share with you, I'm going to share the name of that author before we get out of here. I'm pretty sure. But I want you to know that that piece was originally inspired by the holiday of Juneteenth, which took place just a month ago today and celebrates the time when people who had been enslaved, the last group of them found out that they were no longer enslaved. We're going to do candles of joys and concerns. So during this ritual of lighting candles for our joys and concerns, we want to continue to take care of one another. In the 2U sanctuary, you're invited to come forward and light a candle. As you end your time of contemplation and candle lighting, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer available. For those at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward and take a pebble from one bowl, hold it tightly, putting your energy into the stone, and then knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by this community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. And for those of us on Zoom today, welcome to this service. You can join us by sharing your joys and sorrows in our chat window if you wish to do so.
reading today is by Theodore Parker, a Unitarian minister in the mid-1800s, The Ark of Justice. I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice.
Let's rise in body or spirit and sing together. We shall be known. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
I am pleased to be with you today. In many ways. Many ways. By the way, the title of what I'm going to try to share with you today is Waves of Justice. And with any luck at all, that might become apparent why by the end. We'll see. I'll just share with you to begin with that my partner Diane and I walked into this sanctuary in 1979. And we were just, huh? That's right. Well, I was going to say, I preached my first sermon here, but it wasn't here. It was back there. So that's a difference. My first experience of church of any kind was with the Southern Baptist. I lived with Southern Baptist relatives for 5 years when I was a kid, and then when I left that family setting at about age 12, I had no interest in any church whatsoever. And I just want to say that lasted for quite a long time. It was quite durable. Until I came here at age 30, I believe that's correct. And when I came here and felt the freedom of this way of being religious and the total lack of any discussion of eternal punishment and a sense of welcoming, I knew this was my place. I mean, I knew it. And so I stayed for quite a long time. And I don't know if 2U is like this anymore, but when we were here, people, when you were new and you seemed pretty happy and excited, they would come around and say, would you like to be on the building committee? And then the next time, if you did that, and didn't complain, they would come back, would you like to be on the program committee? So I had, my policy in my early days was, yes, I will. And that kind of steamrollered for a while until eventually they came to me one day and said, well, would you like to be on the board? And I said yes to that. And the next thing I knew, I had gone off to seminary. How's that for a 2U story? And that has been good for me. I am happy that I did that. I am truly happy that I did that. And I'm happy that I came into this sanctuary those many years ago, because that really was a changing point in my life. Not the only one, but a big one. So I thank you all for keeping this going and for making room for other people to come in that door. All right. We could talk more about any of that in coffee hour if you want. I want to share with you an idea that I learned from a civil rights leader named Reverend William Barber. And I bet some of you have heard of him. He's a very prominent civil rights leader in the United States, and probably some of you haven't, but you may see him on TV, on a talk show, or something like that. He's an influential person in our country, and he's done all kinds of interesting things in a leadership role in social activism in the United States. He wrote, not too long ago, a book called The Third Reconstruction, and I actually happen to have a copy. Isn't that a good coincidence over there? And if you want to take a look at, help yourself. So I'm going to just share with you a little something that he got me started thinking about. So Reverend Barber looks at the long struggle for racial justice as having peaks and valleys. So, for example, mentioning Juneteenth, when the last group of enslaved people were informed that they weren't enslaved anymore, could be, we don't have to, but it could be looked at as a kind of peak. This long Civil War, bloody, awful Civil War had taken place in our country, and hundreds of thousands had been killed and injured, and that came to an end, and the people who had been enslaved were no longer enslaved. And so I'm going to just suggest we could look at that as a kind of a peak moment. We could choose another moment in that general ballpark, but I'll just throw that one out. But the thing is, of course, not everything became wonderful at that time. And we're all painfully aware of that. But at the end of the Civil War began a period called Reconstruction. You know, I heard almost nothing about Reconstruction in my entire education. I don't remember anybody talking about that. But Reconstruction was a time when a lot of positive changes were made. And those changes included, for example, the ability of formerly enslaved people to run for office, including legislators and Congress and other offices, and have other freedoms like the freedom to vote and the freedom to work for pay. It was a time of a certain amount of optimism and hope, and of course resistance to these changes on the part of the people who lost the war. One thought that comes to me often is, what would Reconstruction have looked like if Abraham Lincoln had not been assassinated? And of course, there's no way to know the answer to that question, but it's just one of those things that I wonder about. But that did not happen, and the spirit of renewal did not last for very long. It was about 12 years, and then there was a political solution that was struck between North and South, and Reconstruction was over. It was out of business. And things started to shift back to the way they were, not full-blown enslavement in the exact way it had happened, but many other ways to recreate a lot of those conditions. For example, the Ku Klux Klan, the loss of voting rights and other crucial freedoms, Jim Crow laws, and public lynchings that were treated by many white people like festivals, like parties. And a whole array of steps were taken to try as much as possible to get those people back where they were. So this went on for a long, long time into the 20th century, really about maybe around 80 years of this kind of stuff until the civil rights movement emerged in the 50s under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as you know, and a host of other amazing people like John Lewis and Jesse Jackson and Fannie Lou Hamer and Rosa Parks and lots of other people, Bayard Rustin. 2 Unitarians were part of that movement who lost their lives, and it's good for us to name them today. Reverend James Reeb and a lay volunteer, Viola Liuzzo, lost their lives in that movement. But after a long struggle, which many of us know about, in 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, and then in 65, the Voting Rights Act was passed that gave black citizens a fair voice in voting. It seemed like a new day. And then when Barack Obama was elected president in 2008, it seemed to many of us, and I will count myself in this group, rather naively that we had arrived. Did anybody else feel like that? Yeah. It just seemed there was such a sense of optimism about our country. We seemed to be on the right track. Finally, freedom had first been won through the Civil War, and then after a long regression backwards, it seemed the freedom train was back on track again. But many, and this is sort of Reverend Barber's telling, vastly oversimplified, criminally oversimplified. Many of us had vastly underestimated the forces that were deeply opposed to equality and determined to derail the train. And once again, a backlash formed against this progress. And that has been going on for a while. Life is hard in the land of backlash that we are in right now. It's difficult. If you do not think it's difficult, please tell me after the service how you do that. It's hard for people of color. It's hard for millions of immigrants. It's hard for LGBTQ plus folks. It is hard for middle class and poor people struggling to survive. It's hard for Muslims and all kinds of people in other religious groups. It's hard for anybody who loves the democratic process. Times are hard. And it's hard for women in many ways, including Mother Earth, who it is very hard for right now. And so after this kind of wonderful progress of the civil rights movement, and then the Obama presidency, things have regressed again. And just a month or two ago, a mean-spirited Supreme Court overturned the last remaining provision of the 65 Voting Rights Act. And that is now, for all purposes, gone. That magnificent achievement of the 60s civil rights movement is gone. And the court gave the states the right to racially gerrymander, gave them the permission slip for them. So, if Barber is right that we can see the civil rights struggle in terms of peaks and valleys, I'm just going to venture to say we're in one of the valleys right now. We're in one of them. So, horribly oversimplified, this is the picture. Barber says we can expect this to happen. This is the behavior of our country. Even the great milestone of the Voting Rights Act is gone now. It may be that we are in a hopeless period of decline, that there just isn't any way out of this. Maybe. But is that really true? And are we really going to accept that anyway? So, as we know, we're living in a time of real resistance as well. There's resistance going on is beautiful to behold and a wonderful thing to be part of. And it encompasses many different aspects of life. Judges are making some brave decisions. Immigrants' rights groups are doing all kinds of things to help people survive this oppressive, it's not an immigration policy, it's just oppression. Voting rights activists are working on how to there is a guy who comes on the talk shows, he does nothing but file suits about voting rights all day long. And he's good at it. He's good at it. Religious activists are doing, lay and clergy, religious activists are doing all kinds of things, and there's a surge of younger candidates that everybody is excited about. Not everybody, but many. Many people are. And you know what? There are some wonderful old people too, too. I happen to know some of them personally. I want to propose to us today, and I am certainly not the only one who's saying this, that in spite of all the trouble our nation is in, and all the anti-inclusiveness and oppression being forced on us, we can see a trend line that points toward a new wave of justice. We can connect those points if we go look for them, of things that are happening. I've just tried to mention a few of them. In many, we can see a line that trends towards a renewal of justice. Have I lost my mind? Possibly. But I want to just throw before you this morning that the last few months strongly suggest, in my humble opinion, but not me by myself by any means, that the grip of authoritarianism is slipping at this moment. I submit that that is happening. It is slipping, and the courage of resistance is growing. So you can ponder if you think that's right or not, but that is my perception and the perception of many others. For example, a bunch of states immediately jumped on the bandwagon of racially biased redistricting, and several states voted not to do that. And some of those states voted with both parties not to do that. That's an amazing thing for us right now. Patriotic judges, again, of both parties, have made courageous court decisions and stood by them, involving the authority of rulers and all kinds of things of that nature. So, and it also appears that there is a kind of breakthrough for legislators voting their conscience. I don't mean breakthrough like everybody. I mean breakthrough like a few that you wouldn't expect. So I'm throwing that out to you. You don't have to believe me. I'll be out of town by sundown. A wonderful landmark concert hall, by the way, is getting its real name back. The National NAACP, and I've been doing some volunteering with NAACP, has been energized with new protests, vigorous protests, especially in the South, over the new voting rights disaster, and has filed a wave of lawsuits challenging the legality of anti-civil rights laws. So there's a bunch of these things we could look at, and I invite you to do that. I invite you, if you don't watch the news, then you're probably a smart person. But if you do watch the news, look for some of these things. And I bet you have, in fact, already seen them. So that's my invitation to you today. Re-energized resistance is in the air, and there is a new wave of justice gathering. And, you know, Barber's model would suggest that this is going to happen at some point. Maybe it's right now, maybe it's not right now, maybe, I hope it's not 50 years from now, but that new wave is going to come, if he's right about that. Do we have any guarantees? No. We don't have any guarantees. But I submit that resistance, knocking on doors, finding new allies, and believing that change is possible is the best path forward we have in these tough times. Even if it doesn't work, it's still the best path to be on, and we'll have the best life doing that, I think, even if it doesn't work. But I think it will. In the Theodore Parker words we heard today is that famous affirmation that the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice. Dr. King used these words of Theodore Parker many times in his speeches. You'll hear it in his voice. Barack Obama had a rug in the Oval Office with those words embroidered on the rug. The arc of the moral universe bends toward justice. As a matter of fact, if you watch the opening of the Obama Center, Barack quoted Theodore Parker by name in that speech and said, you know, if you want to say this in shorthand, you could just say, yes, we can. You know, without any philosophical language at all, you could just say, yes, we can do this. Michelle Obama, by the way, has delivered numerous speeches encouraging particularly young people. And she gave one in Santa Fe where I live, and I got to listen to it, not live, but afterwards, and she said to these young Native American high school graduating seniors, that's who she was speaking to, instead of letting your hardships and failures discourage or exhaust you, let them inspire you. Let them make you even hungrier to succeed. So I'm bringing this message this morning that Reverend Barber opens another path of vision with his insight that greater justice will always provoke a backlash, and we should not be surprised when that happens. But the waves of justice will come back from that backlash. What great news that is. But the waves do not operate separately from us. We are the energy of the waves. We are that energy. Obama said in one of his speeches, "We are the ones we have been waiting for." Other people have said that. You looking for who's going to do this? To you, basically. Along with thousands and thousands of other groups. We are the change that we seek. So I just encourage everyone, including myself, to have faith in the future. And for those of us who don't really like the word faith that much, you can also think of it as a kind of optimism. A kind of optimism that things will improve, and optimism improves our chances of success. If you want to talk about that in coffee hour, there's research on that. It improves our chances of success, so we might as well go for it. We might as well go for it. Stay connected to people and communities who give you hope and strength, like this one. And look for new, unexpected allies wherever you go. They are everywhere. Allies are everywhere. This is the moment. A new wave is gathering momentum now. Friends, change is on the way. Amen. Would you join me in the thing that is supposed to happen next?
We are building a new one.
Okay, great.
From the light of days remember, but our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful visions comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built on greater choice. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion feels to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
My friends, may the blessings of life be upon us now as we go forth from this caring community into a changing world. May the creative intelligence of the universe be alive in us as we find our pathway through a maze of choices. May the joy of family, friends, and colleagues give us strength and companionship on the path of inclusive love. And may we keep our hopes alive and shining, and our moral compass fixed on justice, and our minds on the ever-present task to build a world where all souls are valued and every heart is loved. May the fire of commitment be alive in us. So may it be.